Welcome, everyone. We're going to get started on time today and take some time with some intros and introduce this training webinar. This is the beginning of a new series of webinars that we'll be doing on a monthly basis that we're referring to as a pop-up webinar, kind of a shorter webinar covering one topic, very specific topic, and we'll be recording them and sharing them so you can always watch them later if you have to cut out early or you can't make one. This particular pop-up webinar is about value engineering, and we'll be giving some examples and using our software as well to show how to make it really easy. Here you see on your screen that we have a Facebook page and we make some announcements on Facebook. It's just one more way to learn about us. We're also on Twitter and LinkedIn, and we recently added a bunch of videos to our YouTube channel. So all of our help videos are there. Some of our past webinars are up there. We're still working on adding many more videos that we have in our library so that it becomes more and more useful. So we'll be mentioning that as we move forward in this webinar series in future months. Go ahead. All right. So I've got Brian Hoffeller with me today. He'll be leading most of the webinar. I'm just introducing things and kind of getting it rolling. I wanted to give you a little background on Brian. Many of you probably know Brian through our previous webinars. He's very busy in our webinar world here at Vision InfoSoft, but he's one of Vision InfoSoft's co-founders, and he combines over 3 decades of experience in electrical estimating services, software development, and software training. His first-hand estimating experience provides a real-world perspective on the most critical skills required for efficient and profitable bidding. So he's been a tremendous resource for us and our customers. So if you ever have a question, he's here to help in one way or another. And I'm Derek Delaquadri. I'm the president of Vision InfoSoft for the last 2 years. Prior to that, I was a marketing and sales manager, and I also worked on the product development side. And I wanted to mention, so during this webinar, you guys are all on mute. That allows us to just continue and progress through the webinar in an orderly fashion. But there's a raise hand button in the GoToWebinar user interface on the right side of your screen. More than likely, it's on the right. You could raise your hand, and towards the end of the webinar, we'll announce your name if you have your hand raised and unmute you shortly thereafter so you can ask your question out loud. You can also skip that completely and just type your question in the questions module, and we'll try to get to in the GoToMeeting user interface on the right, the questions module, and then we'll try to get to all your questions, but we might not be able to. However, we will follow up with you either via email or we can call you if you want to leave your phone number in there on the question. So use that if you like. Otherwise, just enjoy the show. So to start off, here we have the webinar outline. I can't remember if you were covering that or not, Brian. I think I was just gonna kind of read it over.
Yeah, basically where we wanted to start with here is, why is there interest in value engineering? And there's kind of 2 motives on the benefits of being able to do value engineering. One is to improve your chance of getting a bid. So if you're in a situation where you haven't actually finalized your bid, or maybe the owner's looking for some ways to cut some costs, and if you're the one who can do that, then obviously you might improve your chance of winning a bid. And then when you have the bid, it might be a way to make more money, save your customer some money, put some more money in your pocket, if you can give the owner or the general contractor some viable ways to reduce costs on the particular project you're working on. So the 2 examples we're going to do here today, one of them is we're going to simply compare a couple of, we're going to compare doing part of the job in the traditional EMT conduit with THHN wire, compare the cost of doing that to the same thing with MC cable. I do a similar example in our more lengthy webinar on advanced shortcuts and that kind of thing. And then one I haven't never done in a webinar is comparing the cost of doing a feeder with, again, the traditional EMT conduit and copper wire, comparing that same feeder with EMT with aluminum wire, what we call compact aluminum wire, and then also doing the same feeder with aluminum MC feeder cable. So we'll kind of take it from one extreme to the other. So we'll get going here. There we go. Okay, so what I've done here to kind of prepare for this webinar here is I've taken a couple of entries here. You'll see my audit trail here where I put in 12. I don't need to turn my mic on, do I?
Nope.
Okay, sorry about that. I've made a couple of entries with half-inch EMT with 3 number 12 wires. You'll see these two entries here that I just highlighted, one with 1,200 feet and one with 800 feet. Now, what I'm going to do is I've got that same, and I should back up a step here. What I did to begin this value engineering exercise was I copied the job. So first rule of doing value engineering is don't do the changes on the original job. Just go to here to job file and make a copy of the job. So this is the copy I've got open now. If I mess up or change my mind or want to go back and look at different ways of doing the same thing, I've always got that original job that's untouched. So here's an entry with the original 1,200 feet of half-inch EMT with 3 number 12 wires, and then another 800 feet with 3 number 12 wires. And so I set up another section here with the same entries. I just copied them into a new section. So, and here's a little thing I'll show you real quickly before we look at the substitution. If I highlight these lines in the audit trail, we have a little button down here called Quick Totals. It tells me I've got $5,100, almost $5,200 of material and labor in that one entry. So what I'm going to do is come down here to this part of the screen. I'm going to highlight the two entries I want to do some value engineering on, and we use the button called Advanced Substitution at the bottom. So I'm going to convert this entry from conduit to cable. Just hit OK. I'm going to do only the selected entry, so if I've got other stuff in the job right now, it's only going to convert these two entries. Now it tells me, or it asks me if I want to confirm each entry. I'll go ahead and say yes. And then I'm going to convert it to 12-2 MC cable. I'm going to hit select. This is where it's confirming it. If I didn't hit confirm, it would just go ahead and do it. And it's going to find one more entry and hit takeoff. So it made two substitutions in the audit trail. Here's the first one, 12-2, 1,200 feet. Here's the second one, 12-2 with 800 feet. So now I can go look at compare the differences. I'm going to go to my reports, go to job extension. I'm going to change this to sort it by section. So I'm going to look at just the original EMT first. I'm going to hit save as, call it EMT. And I'm going to go to the totals here. And just for the heck of it, I'll put some overhead and profit in, 15% overhead and 10% profit. So just for those two parts of the job, the original EMT setup is $6,500. So now we'll go back and look at just the MC cable version of it. So I'm going to uncheck this, check this, hit save as. It's called MC cable. And then I'm going to go to job totals. So it starts a whole new screen here. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bump up my overhead and profit a little bit. So I'm really actually saving, I'm going to make a little more markup myself. And that way everybody wins here. The customer gets a lower price, $3,200. If I flip back to the original one, EMT, so it dropped roughly half by changing from EMT to MC cable. Now my gross profit on the original entry was a total of $1,300. If I flip back to the MC cable, takes a second here. There it goes. So we could even bump this up a little bit higher. We'll go 25% gross profit. But again, we're still saving the customer a lot of money, dropping their cost in half and creating a little more gross profit for us, at least in terms of dollars. And you can play with those numbers if you want, even bump them up a little bit higher, but you get the idea. So now we're going to do the same thing with converting the feeders. So again, in my audit trail, I've already got it set up here. So here is the original feeder, all the way back up here. And I've got two of them. They're pretty straightforward. I'll just show you a quick little look at how I entered it. It's a 2.5 inch EMT with 4/4 and a number 4 wire, 150 feet. So I've got two feeders, both of them are 150 feet long. So that's the original. So here's the first one I'm going to convert. I'm going to convert it, and I call this section the EMT with aluminum wire. I'm going to highlight everything I want to convert. And I'm going to hit advanced substitution again. So this time I'm going to do the conversion of the conduit, the type of conduit and wire. So when I hit OK here, I'm going to do selected entries. I'm going to tell it to change the fitting. So if there's any conduit size changes, it'll do those. And I'll go ahead and confirm the entries. So I'm going to pick the compact aluminum wire with set screw steel fittings. So it's the same type of conduit, just a different type of wire. And I'm going to use the 4 250s. I'll even go up to this one here. So again, I'm just verifying that it's doing what I want it to do. So I'll hit takeoff, put in 10 feet of makeup. I must not have highlighted the other one. We'll go ahead and do this one.
I think you didn't hold control. Maybe.
Okay, so we'll do one more substitution here. I'm hitting the wrong button. Advanced substitution. Convert type of conduit to wire and wire. And we're going to do just the selected entry. Change the fittings, confirm. And we'll do this one again. Okay, so you'll see in the audit trail here what I just did. So this first feeder here, now it's got aluminum wire, EMT conduit, and then with the second one, same thing, both of them are the same length. So now we can go compare the totals by going to job extension. And we're going to do the original one first. We'll uncheck everything else. So we're going to save that EMT feeder. Come on, Brian.
I don't think caps are that important for this.
No, I just
I had to give you a hard time.
Okay, so here's the EMT feeder with copper wire, the original way we took it off. We go to job totals, and we'll do 10% overhead, and we'll do 10% profit. So there's our first number, this 11,100. That's as we took it off originally, as specified. So now we're just going to go back to job extension, and we're going to choose the second option with the aluminum wire. We'll hit save as. And we'll just say with aluminum wire.
I've got a question when you have it.
Okay. And again, we'll do the totals. And again, just to compare apples and apples, we'll keep the overhead and profit the same. But again, my strategy would typically be when I'm saving the customer some money, I want to put a little more overhead and profit in my pocket. But again, we can just see the totals here. So with aluminum wire, it drops to 6,200. We go back to the original one. It was 90 or 11,175. So big drop just by dropping to aluminum wire. Now the third option we want to look at is converting that same feeder to MC cable.
Can I ask this question real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
Did the number of runs transfer over when you switched from EMT to MC?
Yes.
Okay, that was a question for Anthony, from Anthony.
It definitely should have. Let's just go take a quick look. So that was down at the bottom here. Yeah, there's the number of runs. So it was 60 runs, 1,200 feet, 60 runs. And the second one was 800 feet with 40 runs. So it gives you 80 connectors. So yes, it definitely did. Okay, so the last one we're going to do here, and we'll see if we can do this at one step. So we're going to convert these two entries here to aluminum MC wire. This was a really popular, common thing that we saw quite a bit back in the heyday of Las Vegas. Was it 5, 6, 7 years ago when they were popping up giant hotels right and left, and a lot of those big hotels they did an aluminum MC feeder cable, and you can imagine on that scope the huge amount of savings that gave the owners. But my understanding, and I've been told by a lot of contractors that a lot of those big hotels in Vegas are wired with aluminum MC feeder cable. Okay, so we're going to do advanced substitution again, but this time we're going to convert from conduit to cable, just like we did kind of with the original one where we changed the EMT for the branch wire to MC cable. So we're going to do all identical or only selected entries. In this case, it doesn't matter. We'll confirm the entries, and we'll come down here to the 250 aluminum MC feeder cable. So there's the first one, converting it to 150 feet of aluminum MC feeder cable. Same thing again, 2 substitutions. So now when we go to job extension, we can add this. I'm going to clear them all. I'm going to do just the MC feeder cable. Oops, that's this one. And we're going to do save as. We're going to call it EMT. We'll hit save. Guess you don't need
2 E's.
I get 2 E's.
Yeah. Well, you have.
Oh, there we go. I knew something didn't look right. Feeder. So now when I go to the job totals on this one, again, I'll add 10 and 10 just to kind of compare apples and apples. So we'll put 10% overhead, 10% profit. So now my total is 4,100. If I flip back to the aluminum EMT, that drops to 6,200. And then the one with aluminum MC cable drops to 4,100. So now you can see 3 options kind of not side by side, but one after the other. The original copper wire was 11,000 something. Dropped the same thing to just changing it to aluminum wire. It drops to, and you can do printouts of each of these, so you can set them side by side, or even do PDFs of each of them and set them side by side. And that's just 250-foot feeders, not a real big job by any means. You can imagine if you did this on a job of bigger scopes, the dollars would get pretty significant. But again, what I would do, I would bump these numbers up on the overhead and profit. Why not save some money for yourself?
$130 sounds pretty good.
That would be pretty good. There we go. Okay. Sorry about the little bit of the foul up on the job summaries. You got to be careful when you're running these summaries that you pick the right options here. And
well, you're going kind of fast too.
Yeah.
So
I think there's another question here. Is that the one you already answered? No.
Oh no, it's new.
I rarely use aluminum wire, and I don't have EPIC, so a lot of these materials you are using aren't in my database. Now, the aluminum compact wire is in the EBM database. It's been in there for a long time. So unless you've got something that's really an older version of the database in the program, then you have the aluminum aluminum feeder wire. The aluminum MC feeder cable we added fairly recently, but it's been in there at least a year or two. But you'll see that in the cable takeoff.
But you could use Epic, which is our pricing service.
So yeah, all these items that we're doing in the webinar today are items that come out of Epic, and they are in the current versions of EBM. If you've done an upgrade, we've added those during the upgrades, so they should be in your system. If not, that's something you can still do and get those new materials added to your database.
Yeah. What would you suggest? Maybe they call into support, or
yeah, and we
rep?
can evaluate the situation, see what's going on, and make a recommendation to you. I think that's going to about wrap it up. I'm going to toss it back to Derek here for a minute.
Okay. All right. Well, if anybody has any questions, I guess that would be the first thing we were going to cover here. Let me just take a look to see if anybody had raised their hand. I know we got some questions via the questions module. I don't believe I see any hands raised. Nope. Just a couple good questions. I'll give it a couple extra seconds. Actually, you know what? I'll return to just to check to see if anybody has raised their hands. I just wanted to point out a few things as you see on your screen right now. So I mentioned it earlier. This is going to be a series that we're starting. Electrical estimating topics, very specific topics that we'll be covering. Next month we have a date and time there. How to make more money on change orders, and we'll be recording that, of course, and making it available for anybody that can't attend that, and you'll receive an email with the invite to that webinar. We're also, as I mentioned earlier, on many of the social networks, and it's just one more way to get news and information about these webinars. Like we make announcements about the webinars, about where we're headed for training classes. We do training all over the U.S., classroom training. Brian is our trainer, so you'll have direct access to him during those training sessions. We're going to be in Tampa at a trade show, and Brian's doing training in Tampa, Florida, this March 28th, which is this coming Thursday.
The classes will be on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Tuesday and Wednesday, just before the show.
Right.
And if you have any questions regarding this webinar or anything else, maybe training that additional training that you could get, or if you aren't a current customer, thank you for joining us, and you feel free to email us at sales@vision or give us a call at one of the phone numbers. Probably the first one is best there at the bottom of the screen to learn more about our software and our training. You could get our software and some training at the same time to get kind of started. One of the things we pride ourselves, I should say, we try to make our software easy to use so you don't need a lot of training, but we do offer, when you get our software, a 1-hour session that kind of gets you started, kind of shows you the ropes, and you can ask a bunch of questions, and we get you started. We have a lot of our new customers that are able to complete an entire bid on their own after just that initial training session.
I did see somebody hit a raised hand, so I'll go ahead and activate it. I activated your audio. Mark, go ahead with your question.
Oh, I hit the question was down. I put the on my board it says lower the hand, not raise the hand.
Oh,
interesting.
Okay. Sorry about that. I think that
I'm calling from Canada, and we're talking about databases here. Once I get a database with you guys, is that like the database that I would have, or 2 years from now when they've added some more something or other, like code changes, and we've added some more conduit types or something like this?
Yeah, we're constantly upgrading the database, adding new products, expanding the product lines. And when you buy the program, you get a year of support and upgrades. Those upgrades include not only functional changes, fixes to the programs, but they also include any new products we add. That's covered for a first year. And then after that, if you subscribe to it, you'll get the same support service as well as the upgrades to the program and the database.
That's the extended service plan, the annual service. And the database upgrades, most of them are all applied. Many of them are optional when you do your upgrade, when we send out the updates or upgrades. If you have any questions about that, support can jump on your computer usually and help you out with that.
For example, sometimes on the upgrades, there will be some revisions to the labor units. You may not want those. You may want to stick with what you've got, but that's always an option. When the database upgrades are processed, you'll have the option to process those, to accept them or not. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think because I'm new to this, I'm not a customer of yours. I think I should probably talk to you guys offline. So
Sure.
Sure. Yeah, but it's a real flexible database. You can do what you want with it and make it your own.
commercial or industrial?
It's kind of a commercial and industrial database, medium to light industrial, I would classify it as. We've got a lot of the OCal and explosion proof and stainless steel products, and a lot of that is in the standard database or in the options you can get with the database, and then you could expand it further if you need to.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Mark.
I'll press raise hand, and
There
now it's raise hand, so it'll disappear. All right.
Yep. Thank you.
Come backward. All right. Thanks.
Yeah, have a good one.
That's weird. I'm trying to find him.
It's alphabetical. It's gonna take you a while.
He's way down at the bottom.
Well, it's Mark. It's alphabetical.
There he is.
Sorry, Mark.
Got it. Okay. Let's see if this is more typed in questions. Question was, do you have any additional BE options to offer a customer? Yes, you can change, like, for example, you can change from MC cable to, this would be kind of the reverse. You could change it from MC cable to a different type of cable, like if you wanted to convert to luminary cable, part or all the job, if you wanted to convert to hospital grade, HC, FC cable. Again, those would be kind of going the opposite direction. I guess you wouldn't call those value engineering. You can convert your type of fittings. If you took it off with compression fittings, you could convert it to set screw steel. But those are kind of the big ones, changing the type of conduit and or wire for a feeder, and changing the type of conduit to MC cable for the branch. The others would be really, there could be lots of other value engineering things. They may want to look at an option to just put cheaper light fixtures in, put cheaper devices in, all those kinds of things. Then those are the kinds of things the software can help you with. It's just that you would have to go through and make those changes yourself. I'm not sure I understand the next question. For a new user, how are the prices added to your software? When you buy the program, it's populated with prices, current prices on all of the materials. And you get 90 days of updating on the commodity part of the database. That's included. And then after that, you can decide to subscribe to the update service, which updates everything in your system. So you get current prices to start, you get the commodities updated for 90 days, and then at any point you can go on to an annual subscription, which gets your entire database updated on a monthly, quarterly, even a weekly or daily basis. Next question was, how has there been a fix when uploading a database? It will save individual input items. I don't think I understand that question.
Maybe uploading is not the right word. Updating, maybe?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to follow up with you on that, Zach. There's kind of a lot of directions that question could be looking at. Same thing with the next one. Strapping screws or fasteners, are they part of the assembly? Okay, so yes, they definitely are. When you change a wiring assembly from conduit to MC cable, you still get the connectors and fasteners and other parts of the assembly. Some of the assemblies don't include the fasteners. That's something you can include or not include when you're doing the takeoff. It says when you do advanced substitution, will it undo takeoff back to the previous takeoff? You can undo it, but the reason I talked about copying the job and then copying the entries into different sections is that makes it easier to leave the original ones unaffected. Allows you to kind of pull it out and look at that part of the job separately. But you can just actually modify the whole job if you want to. So Scott had a follow-up question or comment. Still not quite sure where you're going with that question, Scott, about you say you're referring to the cost pricing and the materials to get a total cost for the project. That's what the summary is about. And there's only two parts of it. Let me just flip back there. The job extension, and I'll just flip back to the original job. So this is the original job. There's all the materials, conduit, all the way down to the fittings and the wire and the lighting and switchgear and all that. And this is the final summary for the original job. So it was a $145,000 job. What I did previous to the webinar was I copied the job and then I put parts of those jobs into different breakouts so we could evaluate the cost of one breakout as it was originally done versus a couple of other options to reduce the cost of those areas of the job. Let's see here. If there's no other questions.
Well, I was going to address this one. It was a little bit off topic, but I could go into more detail for Greg about a cloud version of EBM. It is definitely something that we're investigating. There will be a time when EBM will be in the cloud. I just can't say when.
All right. Did you cover the how to get a hold of us, all that kind of thing?
Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, I think I did.
Okay.
Visit our website. We have our email addresses here. Of course, feel free to follow us. In fact, we encourage it on our social networks because it really is one of the best way for us to get the message out to you. Sometimes email isn't the best. Things can get blocked, or maybe you've opted out of. Maybe you don't like getting our some email we send on a regular basis, but unfortunately that takes you out of getting email from us at all. So joining one of our social networks that you might be on already is a good option for that, to make sure that you're staying in touch with what we're up to with the software. I think that pretty much covers it. I just want to thank everybody for joining us. If you have any more questions, feel free to send it to sales or support or Brian Hopfeller's email there. You can always give us a call and we'll get you in touch with someone as soon as we possibly can.
Thank you.